Time for bed.
But Christmas is tomorrow. I'm too excited to sleep.
Would you go to sleep if I told you a bedtime story?
Okay.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and Mommy and the kids were worried about Daddy when they heard about the bus crash on the radio. But Daddy came home safe and sound, and it was the best Christmas ever.
Yay!
However, everybody on the packed bus died, and their family spent Christmas Day identifying bodies and planning funerals.
What the fuck?
Christmas Carol Catastrophes, a podcast about the oddest Christmas songs ever unleashed on an unsuspecting public, starts November 17th.
No, really. What in the actual fuck?
Hello and welcome to Pods Like Us. I'm Martin Correll, known to my friends as Marv, and this time I'm speaking with James from TeamWorks. Sorry guys, we haven't got the other chap from the show, just James today, but we're going to still have fun. Hey James, thanks for this.
Not a problem, mate. Thank you for the invite. I do appreciate it.
No, it's fine. So, I'm going to start with something I normally start with in a different way, but this, I'm thinking, what's your favorite memory of gaming?
Oh, right. My favorite memory of gaming. I think it's just got to be, hopping onto a game and playing with my friend, basically. And yeah, I mean, I love all types of games, but if you're looking in what's my favorite memory on gaming, I think it's got to be when I'm interacting with my mate and stuff like that. But Uncharted, I mean, that blew me away. The series on that is fantastic. So mainly it's partly when I'm playing with my friend.
I can't believe that it's the first time I've ever done it. I forgot to say, James is from the podcast TeamWorks, by the way.
It's all right. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
Over 3 years of doing this, and that's the first time I've ever done it. Over 150 episodes, and I've never done that before.
Oh wow! I tell you what, that's fantastic. Though over 150 episodes. Well done, mate.
Thanks. But I mean, gaming. There's something about there's memories of gaming like that are so important, or any sort of media really. If you've got a favorite memory, it's something really incredible. Because I have memories of playing. We're going to go back to before you'll remember, but I remember playing, like, there was a game called Bubble Bobble when I was a kid, and my mum used to play it, and it was sort of like the my mum and me time, where we'd have the two joysticks out and just be playing that game. And then later, me and two of my three brothers, we had lots of fun trying to basically kill each other on Unreal Tournament.
As you do.
And then being scared to death by the incredible PC version of, or the version of, what was it, Aliens versus Predator that came out on the PC.
Yeah, and I think that's been remastered since, hasn't it? If I remember.
I don't know. It'd be good if it was.
Unless they re-brought it out onto the newer consoles, I'm not sure. But I've seen a few Alien games, so I don't know whether it's related to that. I don't know.
I know there's a few different games that are Aliens versus Predator based. But yeah, I could never win that game because I was always the soldier. And of course I'd be killed by a Predator or bloody alien. But it's these games that are irritating because sometimes they're so damn difficult that it can get really irritating. And that's when as Captain Kirk would say from Star Trek, that's when the colourful metaphors come out.
Oh yeah, it did, didn't it? Wow.
But I mean, what was your first console and game?
Well, I've, I keep forgetting what it was called, but it was, I think it was basically you plugged and played, and it had over 1,000 games built in. And as you heard from my recent podcast, you probably heard it had Superman. I just always remember a Superman game on there. You look back at it now, though, like the graphics are like, whoa, you think nah, the graphics are awful, but back then it was like something really, really good. But other than that console, my first probably proper console, if you're looking into PlayStation and all that, was the first PlayStation.
Yeah.
I had that. I had the big chunky one, which was just called PlayStation. A lot of people thought it was the PlayStation 1, but then the mini came out and that was the PlayStation 1. So it's quite interesting when they've, when they brought that out, because everyone thought it was the PlayStation 1, the big fat one. The big chunky one, should I say, as it sounds better. But I used to love the PlayStation 1. And then obviously it went on to the PlayStation 2 and so on.
Yeah, but I mean, the good thing about the PlayStation 2 was, I mean, it's irritating in a way. And I think you've touched on this with a recent show that you when you had Doug Leaf on there. Yeah. You touched on it in a sense, is the PlayStation 2 is the last time where it was backwards compatible. So you could play games that had been on the one, but you couldn't, after that point, from 3 onwards, you couldn't play any games that had been on any previous version of the PlayStation, which is really irritating because some of those games from the 1 and the 2 are absolute classic games.
It is, but what I will say to you, when they first brought the PlayStation 3 out, it was the 60 gig model. Now, the 60 gig model did have backwards compatibility in it, so you could play PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games on it.
Yeah.
But then when they brought the 80 gig model out, they patched it up and stopped backwards compatibility. That's the one I had, the 80 gig model, which I was gutted because I just missed out. I should have got the 60 gig model just so I could play the backwards compatibility through it. And it's a shame because, they could have done so much better if they had all generations playing on one console.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but if you go online and look for one of those PlayStation 3s, the 60 gig that is backwards compatible, they are really expensive.
They really are, aren't they? I mean, yeah, you look at that. God, yeah, over £50 maybe, if that, isn't it? I think.
That's not really expensive in these days, is it?
No, to be honest with you, though, if you're looking at new games now, it's probably about £70 for a standard edition.
Yeah,
between 65 and £70 for a standard edition. If you want to go any further, it's like 80 to 100 onwards in it. But yeah,
gone are the days when you used to put a tape cassette in there and wait for the tape cassette to get to the next level of a game.
Oh yeah, God, crikey, yeah, that was. When you think of it now, that it was bad, wasn't it? When you think of it. Yeah. But back, like you say, back then it was the best thing going, wasn't it? So yeah, it's improved a lot, gaming, definitely. But it's also increased in money.
It really has. But saying that, I mean, nowadays you get a computer, and I'm not sure if it's the same with consoles, but some of these devices don't have anything to actually put a game into. You have to play them online because you can't actually put a disc in some systems now and play a game from a disc. Yeah,
definitely a gaming PC. You definitely don't have a disc drive in it. It's all download them digitally, which I do now on the PlayStation anyway, because me and my mate game share, which I don't know, you probably heard in recent episodes, is basically we both sign into each other's account, and I put his account as my premium on my my side, and we get to download each other's games, which is brilliant. So we always go halves. We pay half each. So say a game's like £70, it's only costing, half of that, which is better in a long run, but you end up spending a lot more because you're paying half each.
Yep. But hopefully these servers will not go down, so you'll still be able to play these games forever and ever and ever.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some games that have gone down recently, haven't they? And it's a bit of a shame. Like, but I just hope. Like, I don't think games like Uncharted and all that, I think they'll stay on for a while because it's just a big game. They can't stop it, really, can they? I think a lot of people still play on it, but games like Call of Duty, I don't play Call of Duty, but I know that'll be going forever. But there's some games that will. Sadly, was shut the servers down. I mean, Killzone, that was one of them. I never got to play that game, but I know the online is shut down on it now, isn't it? I believe.
I think so. But you look at. I mean, even this list of games that I put down, I don't know whether some of these you think to yourself, there's some of these that don't come out anymore. Although saying that, I was surprised that there's a new Legend of Zelda game come out recently.
Yeah, there is, and that's one I haven't picked up yet. I really want to get that one because I've got the first Legend of Zelda that came out on the Switch. Brief of Wild, is it? Is that what it's called? I think it is.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I got the remake of the Sword and I keep forgetting the names of that many of them, but yeah, that was remade. So I got that one. But yeah, I'm looking to get this new one because it looks incredible, and definitely need to play, definitely.
But yes, I mean that surprised me because there's these games that I remember from back in the day. Because I mean, Legend of Zelda, that goes all the way back to the Sega Master System, I think, or does it go back further than that?
Possibly, because I know they've got Eliminator on Switch now. If you buy, obviously, you buy the online package on there, so you can play all the old games from the different console. But obviously, you gotta have a good internet connection, of course. But that's the only downfall for it, isn't it? If you don't have a reliable internet connection, the games are not going to work for you, are they?
That's true. We need better internet in the UK, people.
Yeah, no. Well, we've got fiber optic, but it's not always working. So, just BT for you, I think. I don't know what provider you're on, but we're on BT, and sometimes it can be really bad.
I'm on a Wi-Fi box that's over there that's connected to a mobile broadband connection.
Oh well, so you'll be getting good speeds then. I would imagine.
It's dreadful. It's terrible. It really is.
Yeah.
I've had to turn video off before when I've done shows so that I can just get the good sound.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? I mean, sometimes I've done it before. I've been in the middle of an episode, and the internet's literally gone off for a few seconds, so it stopped me recording, and I'm thinking, oh God. But I've still managed to put it together. It only happened once, but I managed to put it together, and it sounded all right. So we just remembered and spoke what we were speaking beforehand. But no, it's worse when you're recording a podcast or you're live streaming. Sometimes you think you're still going, and then you realize the internet's gone about 5 minutes later.
But when you're live streaming, I'm guessing you're so carried away with enjoying the game and the time, and then you're carrying on telling people, "Oh, this is what I'm doing here," and this, that, and the other, and you don't realise that your connection's gone. Maybe.
Yeah, it's either that too interested in the game that I forget that the connection's gone, or I have sound alerts on my streams these days, so people can just mess about with them and they press a certain one just to get me up dancing. So, I mean, I just like entertaining people, you know. So if people say like, you could do this, you do that. And that's why my name is Crazy Ninja on my gaming social. So yeah, people like, yeah, we'll span that one. And it's been spanned, I think, nearly 500 times, that sounded it. So it just shows you that people love just coming in the stream for that.
Shout out to John Travolta. That's what you need to do now, John. Live stream and get people to shout you for dancing.
Well, funny enough, some of the celebrities are actually gone from doing just, getting filmed to actually doing streams on Twitch. I mean, you must remember the one that played Jay in Between Us.
Yep.
James Berkeley, is that his name? Yeah, I think it is.
Yep.
Anyway, he had a Twitch channel and used to stream his PS4 games all the time.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've not recently seen them stream. The other person that was doing YouTube videos, started Jack Black.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of YouTube videos on gaming. So I think the game world has got everyone involved. To be honest with you, it's a really good. It can be a really good thing for your mental health as well.
Yep.
But it can also be a bad thing that triggers things off. You know, it depends what game you're playing as well.
I'm surprised Henry Cavill doesn't do it really, because he's famous for gaming.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether I'll come across him, but I'll have to look into that because he might actually do it, and we just don't know.
Might do. I mean, he's the one who got the Netflix series that he was in started off, because he played the game originally. What, The Witcher? He was playing the game and reading everything and all the novels and everything based on it in the fiction, and so he was big. There's lots of pictures all over the place of him playing games, and I think one of his next projects is based on gaming as well, but I can't remember what that is now.
I know, The Witcher, because it's a fantastic TV series as well. They've made it fantastic, and I can't see anyone else being The Witcher. You know,
Nope.
But there's talks of him leaving, isn't he?
Yes, this is the last season for him, and then he's being replaced by not Chris Hemsworth, but his brother. Is it Liam Hemsworth? I think
Liam Hemsworth, yeah. Which I'm sort of thinking, no, I can't see it. But then you got to give it a try. I'll still watch it and see what it's like, but I just don't think it'll be the same without Henry.
How many Batman have we had?
God, too many that I've lost count.
Yep, so many. But
what did you think of the last one? Sorry, go on.
I haven't seen the last Batman film.
Do you know what?
Go on.
I seen it late, but I seen it, and do you know what? I thought it was brilliant, but it was more dark. Batman. God.
Yep.
Got my words mixed up then, as you do. But it was good. It was really good, but it was very dark looking, which I think happened in the comics anyway. That's where it originally started. Gotham, it's dark, and that was the story of how I think it was mainly based on how he became Batman, I think, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really, really good, but it was a very, very long movie.
Yeah. That's the comment that most people make when I speak to them or listen to shows. They'll go, "Oh, it was a long film," but then again, Martin Scorsese's moaning about that with his latest film that's come out, because I think that's is that 3 hours and 58 or something, just shy of 4 hours, and he's irritated because cinemas have thrown an intermission halfway through the film.
Yeah, they did that. Well, they did that with that. They did it with the Justice League movie, didn't they?
I didn't see that at the cinema.
No, I didn't, but oh, did I? I'm not sure. No, I didn't.
I'm
But
glad I didn't.
they remade it into like, was it over 4 hours?
Yeah, the director's cut with or the Zack Snyder version. Yeah, isn't that something like 4 hours 20, 4 hours 30 or something?
Yeah. Well, let's just say I didn't watch it in one night. I had to watch it in stages because I got tired by the time that 2 hour. Well, just close to 2 hours. It's like, now I can't watch anymore. I'll go watch it the next day. But
Let's
yeah,
let's face it, they put Gone with the Wind on the television in 2 parts nowadays.
yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah.
But so what so before you started making this show, what was your early podcast listening, or were you brand new to podcasting when you started the
Well,
show?
I I was I was listening to a few podcasts before I started doing the show. I mean, I knew there was podcasts out there. Um, I was listening to a few. I got more into it when I was doing my podcast as well.
Yep.
But I think I was listening. The first one I was listening to, or might have been, was the Peter Crouch, that Peter Crouch podcast, because I love football. I'm an Evertonian, so you're probably thinking, why was you listening to Peter Crouch? I just think he's a top man. He sounds like a really genuine, nice bloke. But it's great to hear them take the mick out of each other, and I think it's just funny. But my dad got me into one as well called The Diary of the CEO. I don't know
Yeah.
whether you heard of that one.
Yeah.
And I think that's so good because that's on the mental health and the human mind, which was really, really good because it gets you thinking, wow, is that how the human mind works? I mean, there's a lot of things that you think to yourself, is that how it works? So yeah, listening to the that's what got me into doing a podcast, is a game, and also listening to other podcasts is actually made me want to do one myself.
Right. Well, you mentioned that one there about the mental health, and that's
Yeah.
made me think of. I'm going to just show this to camera to you.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can
Well,
see that.
let's not be kidding.
Okay.
Yep.
And that there's a chap. I mean, he doesn't live in the UK. He was born in the UK, and his family's from over here, but he lives in America at the moment. And he's a I think he does TV as well, Gavin Crawford. And that show is about them finding out that his mother had dementia. His family found out, and he's got like chats with his family and with his friends and with his mother as well. I think she's in it as well in some bits, and that just, like you said, the mental health and things like that is it's important, and I like shows that go into that area as well.
Yeah, and like my dad got me into the Diary of a CEO, and then I'm glad that he's got me in it because he interviewed all some of the footballers as well, which I thought you don't sometimes think all them footballers are, you look at them and you think, they're not struggling, but you don't know, do you? You don't know what's in the background of people, and that's what that show brings. It shows that people, just because they play football and all like that, it doesn't mean they don't have a background to, they might be looking all jolly and all that, but we can put a face on it as well, can't we? Ourselves. So yeah, it's interesting to hear other people's stories.
Yeah. But I mean, a lot of famous people have some issues anyway. You go to people like Robin Williams, famously, the singer Chris Cornell. A lot of these people, they have them, and in a sense, their talent that they're famous for is sort of how they get around these issues. So a lot of times, like Robin Williams would probably use humor to deflect, which is why he was so good at comedy. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Jim Carrey has a similar thing as well. really. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. But all these people, and it's like, like I said, with Chris Cornell, people were, I don't know whether people were surprised or not, but you look into the lyrics of the songs, you can see the depression there in the songs, if you listen carefully or whatever, and that. But I think that's where that comes from. There's that well for them to pull from, that talent comes from. And the same goes with football, where that's probably something that they'll use to, better their mental state, where some people use it to make them better or better people. In essence, they've been brought up, there's famously some who are young when they're young, they're picked on, and they will become better sports people, in a sense, to show these people in a way and sort of like push back.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a valuable point. You just look at Dali Ali, for instance. He's recently come out and said that he's been struggling for years with his mental health, and I think that's brilliant because he's managed to speak to people about it, and because yourself, you can hide things, and sometimes it's not the greatest thing hiding things, but credit to him and credit to Everton. Everton have been superb with him. So it's people like that, isn't it?
Right. Oh. One of your pets was just lying down in the background.
Oh, yeah, that's my dog.
Just see this bit of darkness and some white on the face, sort of.
Yeah. She's lying down. She won't bark. She'll be all right. That's even better. When I do my podcast, she's always quiet. She's asleep now, I think. Or she's probably listening to me, thinking, "Are you talking about me?" But yeah.
So going from listening to podcast, what's the history of the show then? How did you go from that to actually creating the show? And did you have any shows that you sort of were inspired by their technique that you maybe based your own show on?
To be honest with you, not really. What it was is I was looking on podcast socials, social medias and all that, and seeing if there's many for gaming. And I noticed there wasn't a great choice of gaming podcasts out there. So I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? It'll be nice, because I love my gaming myself and my mate does. It'll be nice to get a gaming podcast going and, not only get the gaming world out there, but all the guests that we get on, it's given them a bit of a boost as well, because people think, oh yeah, he streams, or she streams, and I just thought it would be a very nice thing to do and get people to listen to a gaming podcast, which you don't hear a lot these days. But there was one gaming podcast that I used to listen to, and that was called PlayStation Beyond.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, I don't know whether that's still going, because I've not heard of it for a while, but that was the only gaming podcast at the time that I only come across. Now, I know there's a few gaming podcasts now, because I've been in touch with a few people through the gaming world, and they do a podcast, and I just think it's growing now. I mean, it's great having a podcast about your mental health and like you say, football, all kinds of like that. But it's nice to hear that there's gaming podcasts coming out there as well now.
Yep. You need to give Phil a shout from Deleted Saves. He'd be a great guest for you.
And how would I get in touch with him? Do you know?
He's on Twitter and Instagram. Just look for Deleted Saves on both those. Check his show out. His show is just basically a short-ish show, and he'll go into detail on like an old game, and he'll basically come out with what the history of the game was, his own history with the game, and then come out with an opinion of what he thinks of the game as well. And sometimes he might irritate a few people because he might have an opinion that's different to your opinion. If you see a specific game as being the best thing since as we say over here, since sliced bread. You know,
Yeah.
he might not think the same way as you, but his knowledge of games is really interesting.
Do you know what? That's really good, because we say on our podcast is that it's free. It's a free run, and you can speak the way you want, when you want. The show, I always say, the show is yours, because you know yourself, you hear other podcasts and they try and rush you into saying things, don't they?
Yeah.
Which I wanted to make it feel relaxed, but at the same time enjoy, and we'll ask questions as well. So yeah.
That's why I have this technique, like you've seen, of this list here. And
Yeah.
then if the guest suddenly says something interesting that goes away from that, I'll let it go there, because it's for they need to be comfortable.
Exactly, because you get more of a conversation out of being relaxed, don't you?
Yeah. I definitely enjoy more conversational. So, but as the show evolved, then, because when the first episode was just you and your co-host,
Yeah.
and it was like that for a bit. Had you always intended for it to be chatting with fellow gamers and with creatives, or has the show evolved into that?
Well, when we first started it, we started it in 2021, so I think it was during lockdown. And I just said to my mate, Phil, I said, do you fancy doing a gaming podcast? I was just like, let's do it. And he said, yeah, it sounds great. So we started it. And we did a few episodes on our own. And obviously there was shorter as well, because we just started it and all that. And it was just, obviously lockdown, you have things in the way. We stopped it, and I don't know why. We just literally like stopped it after a few episodes, and I'm thinking, why did we do it? We stopped it. So I think it was like, must have been close to a year later. I went, Phil, do you know what we've done? And he said, what's that? I said, we forgot about the podcast. Well, why didn't we carry it on? And then I said to him, I said, I've come up with a brilliant idea, and I think it'll keep us going on it as well, because I love doing it anyway. And I said, why don't we bring, people on the podcast, have guests on? I said, we're part of all Discord communities now with gaming and all that. Why don't we invite people on? And it, like you say, it's just evolved from then, and we're just having so many guests on at the moment, which is amazing to see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about having guests on these sort of shows like yours and other, media in essence, is that every show is going to be different, because each guest will look at things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, there's something about media, be it gaming, be it films, be it music, be it literature, be it anything, art. There's something about that where if you get somebody on a show and they are really passionate about what they're talking about, they will just talk. And it's like when you go with a friend when you go with your friends to go and watch a film in the cinema. You go and watch a film in the cinema that all of you love. You will talk afterwards for much longer than the film lasted about your experience of what the film was and what you liked of the film. And it's the same with all media. You will just talk and talk and talk about something that you love so much.
Definitely. And that's the same with me. Obviously, me and my mate, we love Marvel. We're big into Marvel.
Yep.
So when we go and watch the movies, we always discuss at the end or before, this is what's going to happen, what's going to happen next, and go into it. And sometimes they've come true, which we love doing it, because you go, that's going to happen, that's going to go. And like you say, you talk and talk all the time about everything, which is amazing. I love it. And to be honest with you, when we've got some of our guests have come before we've live streamed, before we've live streamed the podcast and all that. Sorry, should I say record? But they say, "Oh, I'm a bit nervous." I said, honestly, you don't need to be nervous. Honestly, our podcast, you answer at your own time. The show is yours, and that is totally work because people come on nervous and then they come off it and say, "Wow, that was good." And that's what you want, isn't it? You want your guests to feel welcome, relaxed, and just comfortable.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's when like you said, shows are interesting
Yeah,
because then you are just talking, and it's not like mine could just basically be a basic interview show, but
yeah,
it's more interesting because I'm trying to get people talking to a guest, and it's in essence, pulling the curtain away. In essence, I'm sort of soft introducing people to these guest shows because I'm basically trying to get almost like a macro version of their show thrown inside my show. In a way, it's advertising these people's shows, really.
exactly. And our last episode with Doug Liff, he actually does a podcast himself. So I thought that was brilliant. Our first time that someone's come on to our show and he actually does a podcast himself. So it's great to have a fellow podcaster as well.
Yeah, that's where it gets meta, is because you're a podcast about gaming, and you've spoken with you've had a guest on who does a show about gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So it worked out really, really well. And the thing is, I didn't have a Twitter page open for the podcast at first. I had Instagram and a Facebook page. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to get a Twitter page open because it'll grow the podcast, and people are already coming up and saying, do you want to be on mine, or do you want to? Can I come on yours? And I'm like, yeah, by all means. So the more guests, the better. And I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, the whole. I mean, on most of the social networks, the whole, but Twitter particularly, I found that lately. There's a huge push, or a huge like community there of podcasters that are just. It's almost like, you go on there, oh, I'm a podcaster, and suddenly you get these crowds of people coming and wanting to sort of like talk to you, and we'll listen to your podcast, we'll give you some feedback. If you want to be on ours, that's fine. We'll go on yours if you want us. And yeah, it's amazing, that atmosphere that's there.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, isn't it? And you know what? I only started about maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and there's people coming in and saying, "No, do you want to come on our podcast?" And people will say, I've asked people if they want to come on. Doug Liff, I met him through Twitter, and he was buzzing that he was coming on to the show, and it's amazing, like you say. But I've got like 3 Twitter accounts now. I've got one for me personal, my gaming, and my podcast now. So sometimes it's hard switching to all of them in it.
Yeah. So, what research do you do leading up to? I mean, is it just now interview based, or do you still have the occasional one-off where it's just you and your friend talking with each other about a subject?
It's mostly now with a guest. We interview a guest, but we did do a bonus episode at the end of season 1, and that was just me and my mate talking about just how season 1 has gone, and thank you to everyone that's come on to our podcast, and we talked about a few bits of gaming, what we like about it and all that. And so we did the bonus episode at the end of season 1, and that was just us two.
So what research do you do then leading up to the interviews with the guest, and how do you get the guest?
Well, we're part of some gaming communities on Discord, so I go on there and I ask a few people on there, through Twitter as well. Now that we've got our own podcast Twitter page as well, I go on there and ask people if they want to come on. Would you be interested in coming on a gaming podcast? Stuff like that. I'll post things on social media as well, and to let people know that there's slots available if you want to come on. I was recently invited to a podcast Discord server.
Yep.
So I think I've got someone lined up on that as well. So I've got someone through that as well. And yeah, it's mainly like that. I mean, I've even got I've asked a schoolmate or two schoolmates that have been on. God, I'm talking about years ago now. Probably more years than me. Like, but they've been on the show. But we've recently just started a new episode, which happens once a month, where we invite a previous guest onto the show, but to host the show themselves and interview us two.
Wow, that's a good idea. That's a table turner.
Yeah, I just came up with the idea. I was like, do you know what? Wouldn't it be good? And I did actually hear someone saying that they do it as well. And I'm thinking to myself, this would be an excellent idea. It'll get people coming back and it'll give them a chance to think, oh, God, yeah, I'm going to be a host here.
I very nearly did that for episode 150. I very nearly got another podcaster to come and do pods like us and have me as the guest.
Did you know what? It's a great idea because, you're used to interviewing people yourself. So bringing someone on your podcast and getting them to interview you, it's like, God, this is a bit strange, but it's exciting as well, isn't it? Because you don't know what they're going to ask you.
Well, I could say that, but earlier on this year, I had pneumonia. So a fellow podcaster, Sean from Review It Yourself, I contacted him, and I got 2 shows booked to record, and he did those shows.
Oh, fantastic!
As the host for me.
Oh, that's amazing.
But that followed on from that chap I was talking to you about, Phil from Deleted Saves.
Yeah.
He put, I can't remember when it was now. I think it was the end of last year. He was saying in a discussion with me on chat, he was saying that he was going through a few problems or whatever, or he'd have a problem being able to do his show for a bit because of family issues or something. And I said, okay. I said, right. I said, hope you get better soon. And then I started a chat group with some fellow podcasters.
Yeah.
And I said to them, right. I said, if any of you can, we need to cover 5 weeks of Phil's show for him. Right. Wow. So that's 5 episodes. So I did one episode. I did an episode on, I think I did an episode on Summer Games from the Commodore 64. It might've been that. And then I got 4 other people to say yes, they'll do it. So we all individually did episodes each. But when I'd arranged it, I got back to Phil and I said, Phil, we've covered you for 5 weeks. I'm doing one. This person's doing one, and we basically gave him the 5 episodes for the following weeks. We basically all recorded them and got them to him in time for them to actually go out and cover his regular release slot for 5 weeks. So all he needed to do, because we'd already edited them as well and got them all clean and everything for him, all he needed to do was just then put them onto his server to put the episodes out on their regular, slots.
Oh, that's brilliant. And sometimes I do the podcast on my own with a guest. Just sometimes my mate can't make it, so to keep it going every week, I'll do a podcast myself with someone, and I mean, it makes it easier when you got a co-presenter. But I think it's getting a lot better now, because yourself, when you first start it, you get nerve-wracking yourself, don't you? But yeah, it's improving. I used to stutter a lot on my words, but I think I'm improving on that. And it's just great. It's people love it. People love listening. It doesn't matter what it is. People just love listening to a podcast, don't they? It's interesting to listen to a podcast.
Have we already mentioned in the recording of this show, or was it before we started, how you record the show and edit it?
Yeah, it was before the show, but yeah, for your listeners, I'll repeat it again. But it's basically I invite people to a call on Discord.
Yep.
And I record it through Streamlabs, which seems to work as well. It seems to be all right.
So they will have Streamlabs anyway, these people, to be able to connect because they are streamers anyway, or do they not need to have it as software on the computer? Is it somewhere that they go to on the browser?
Well, no, you can, if you're a streamer like myself, and you're streaming from a PC, you have to have it downloaded onto your dashboard. But when we're recording, they don't need to have that open. They don't even need to have the app. Some people we've invited and they've been talking to us through the phone on Discord.
Okay.
So basically, I just do everything my side, and they don't need to do anything when we're on our podcast. But if you're streaming from a PC to Twitch or anything like that, yes, Streamlabs.
Okay. So music and logo for the show before we go into some really interesting territory.
Yeah.
Music and the logo for the show, how did they come about? I mean, it's just the logo is basically a picture of the both of you, and then TeamWorks. There's a bit more to it than that, but so how did they come about, the logo and the music?
Well, funny enough, the logo and the name. Me and my mate, obviously, we know each other from working with each other years ago. We used to help out in the local food bank.
Yep.
And like you do with your friends, you have weird conversations and all that. And we used to always say is when we've done something, we go, TeamWorks, and we used to always do that. And stuff like that. And then when I was thinking of a podcast name, I was like, do you remember, Phil, when we used to always say TeamWorks to each other? He said, yeah. I said, what do you reckon for the name? TeamWorks. And also in games as well, you know, some games you're doing TeamWorks, you know, you're team working and all that. And also on the logo, it's got like a little bubble where it says a team that works together stays together. Yeah. And I thought that was a great saying. And I think I sort of got them words a little bit from Uncharted. It was one of the Uncharted scripts, or I think I might have changed it a little bit. So that's where that came through. Recently, I've updated the podcast because the podcast was just playing with the name. So I've updated it where there's me and Phil on, and a little bit of red smoke coming down it as well. So I just thought, touch it up a little bit. So yeah, that's where the logo came from. Is basically we used to say TeamWorks all the time when we done something in work. If we've completed something, we're like, yeah, TeamWorks, and we used to always say that. So you know, like random conversations and all that. So yeah, I said to him, I said, let's name it TeamWorks.
I'm now picturing you both doing that with one of these moves, almost like they do on the you know, the Power Rangers, you know, when they sort of go Power Rangers and all this, and you know,
funny enough,
like the team up bit.
Funny enough, I think we did on stage. We did, and you know what? We didn't realize at one stage someone was watching us. And the funny thing is, it wasn't actually in the workplace; it was over at the shops. Well, we went to get some milk or something like that. But no, that's how crazy we're both crazy. We do anything. It doesn't matter. We're not bothered.
I got the 2-pinter of milk. TeamWorks.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. What's the other thing we used to do? Yeah, we used to do, like, if we see a word on a cereal box, we used to make like words up from there. So like we'll say, if it was Cheerios, we'll say Cheerio or something like that. It's something stupid like that. Or if you see a block of cheese, oh, very cheesy, you aren't you? It's stuff like that, stupid stuff like that. But we used to always do it. I mean, and that's how TeamWorks came across.
Listening to Cocoa Pop's music.
Yeah. Well, you could say it's actually music. It's popping away, isn't it?
It is. There you go. You're better at it than I am.
But yeah, that's how the logo came across. And the other question you asked was about
the music.
Well, the music was just a bit standard originally, because I used to use to record as well. We used to use a software it's now called Spotify for podcasters, but it used to be called Anchor.
Yep.
Which a lot of people use it because it's free and it's easy to use. But the recording quality, especially because you could only record with a guest through your phone, the phone app. You couldn't do it through the website, which I thought was a bit stupid and all that. But yeah, we only be able to do that. So we recorded the first 3 or 4 episodes. We only recorded through phones.
Yeah.
And you could edit it on that software as well. So the tune that they had in there, they had a library full of tunes. I just picked one and put one in there. Then a few months ago, I never thought I'll say it, but I saved up and got myself a gaming PC.
Yep.
And that has not also helped with my streaming, but it's helped with recording the podcast. Because obviously it's faster. You can, there's all different softwares you can download to record through, which on your phone they tend to block some of them off, don't they? So you can't use them. So yeah, that was our originally, and then I got upgraded to a new iPhone. Funny enough, this is going into what is our theme tune now. It's basically, I bought a new iPhone. I got the iPhone 14, and it's got what's called what's the app called? I forgot now. You may use it as well. Let me just double check. I forgot what it's called now.
GarageBand.
That's it. Yep. GarageBand. Yeah. So I went on GarageBand. I messed around with a few tunes, and then I went, oh, I like this one. It's got a bit of game and retro type of style in it. So yeah, that's where our new theme tune came from. It's basically I got a new phone, and I thought, yeah, there you go.
You're making me think of using GarageBand now to do like a computer, almost like a chip tone style tune.
Do you know what? GarageBand is such a great software as well. And it's free. It's totally free, which I thought, wow. And the other thing that got me into GarageBand is my dad, because my dad started doing his own podcast.
Okay.
So but he didn't have any equipment. So he bought the mic, the headphones, and he bought Apple Mac.
Yep. What's his podcast name?
Speaking Frankly.
There we go.
So yeah, he basically talks about the human mind and stuff like that, and he's interviewed a few people on there, but obviously he's only done a few episodes because he's literally busy all the time. He's a chairman of a football club now, so yeah, he's got that as well as other things. So he's not managed to do an episode recently, but I'm pretty sure when he gets the time, he'll be doing another episode. But yeah, my dad uses GarageBand, and I went, yeah, that's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah. Give it a listen if you're free at some point. Obviously, like I say, he hasn't done many episodes just due to busy life. Yourself. Sometimes you can't get a podcast out yourself, probably. But the same as me. Last week I couldn't get one out. Sorry, the week before. But I try and keep it weekly myself, if I can.
Well, I've got three in the can.
Oh, brilliant!
So,
Well, that's good. So that keeps you going for 3 weeks.
Yeah. So I'm always trying to stay ahead. I've got another episode booked for next week as well.
Yeah.
But, it gets tricky because also you find yourself going on to other shows or being asked to help on shows as well. And I'm now co-host on another 2 shows as well.
Oh, brilliant! It's exciting though, isn't it? It is. It's really exciting. I mean, when you turn around and said, "Do you fancy coming on mine?" I was like, "Yeah, definitely. I'm up for it because I've only done my podcast, so it's nice to go on someone else's for a change." I think I'm enjoying it. It's really good.
So, what would you say are your top 3 games then? This is a tricky one.
Oh, right. Well, I have to say, Uncharted. Uncharted's got to be one of the best series I've ever played. That's one of them. I just love it because it's adventure. It's got a good storyline to it, and you're also doing other things in it. So it's got a mixture of everything, which I think is brilliant, and the graphics are amazing on it as you've seen. Yeah. So that was one of them. It's not such my best game now, but it used to be one of my best games. Rogue Company.
Yep.
But I feel like it's slowly dying, so I've not actually touched that game since July, which is not like me. I was always on it. Me and my mate were always on it. In fact, we were on it that much that we forgot how to play any other games. So I was playing that for a while, but it's gone downhill in my liking. But I'm planning on going back on it just to see what it's like now. But recently I've come onto a gaming PC and all that. So Euro Truck Simulator.
Yep.
I play that quite often now. I think it's just a relaxing game. And it doesn't matter if you're into trucks or you're not into trucks. It's great because you can drive around with friends, and do jobs all around the world and just chill basically. But yeah, that's got to be one in my top 3. I think I'm going to push that past Road Company because Road Company's gone a bit downhill lately. So that might come back in my top 3. I don't know. For my 3rd, God, that's a tricky one because I played that many games. Now, do you know what? I'm going to have to say it because Spider-Man. The Spider-Man games.
The new one.
I haven't played the new one yet, but in general, I just think the way they've made the games, it's absolutely incredible the way they've done them.
Yeah, I mean the new one, I'm really looking forward to that because the whole it's almost like a game version of the Spider-Verse films, which are I'll say the Spider-Verse films are the best thing that Sony has done with any of their Marvel products, in my opinion. That they are incredible, and the game, from all intents, from what I've noticed in the advertising and what I've heard people say about it, I've not heard a single bad word said about that game.
No, I haven't. In fact, I've heard that a lot of people are saying game of the year for sure.
Yeah, I'm hearing that as well. Even Dave Bradley, who works for a gaming magazine, who used to work for SFX, he said to me that he's really enjoyed the game as well.
Yeah, apparently it's a little bit shorter than the first one, but I don't think that matters. As long as it's enjoyable and all that, I don't think it matters if it's shorter.
Well, if it's shorter, then you can go back to starting it again from the beginning.
Yeah, but don't forget that, eventually they might bring DLCs out, so then you have an extra story bonus added on. I know they've extended New York on it, where the first one you couldn't go over the bridge part. Apparently you can go over there now and access that, which is incredible. I did see on 2 different images. One was the PS4 version and one was the PS5 version. That obviously the Spider-Man 2, and it showed New York, and it looked like they took a picture from New York in the new one. It looks that incredible. So I don't know what engine they're running on. I don't know, but whatever engine they're running on, it's incredible, and I'm looking forward to playing it. But like me, we buy games because obviously we pay half, so we buy quite a lot of games if they're on offer.
Yep.
And the thing is with me is I'm 60% always through a game, and then we'll see another game, and I'll go, yeah, I'll try that. I forget about the other game that I'm 60% through. I never complete it, so I'm late getting into completing the Spider-Man games. Recently, I completed the PS4 version, which I'm happy I've done it eventually. I've stuck to my guns and said, nah, I'm sticking to it. I'm going on to Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I think I'm over halfway through the story. It's just all the side missions you do. Because I like to platinum that, especially them games. Them games, you feel chuff when you get a platinum for the end of that game. And then when I complete Miles Morales, I will be playing the second one. I definitely will.
When he says chuffed, people, he means he feels happy.
Yeah, I feel chuffed. Yeah, happy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
For anyone in another country, he's going, what does he mean by that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because sometimes people say a different word to me, and I go, "What does that mean?" Then you have to search it up, don't you? And you're like, yeah, that's what it means.
International, you see, these people, they'll listen from America and they go, what does he mean by that word? Really? I've had them pick me up on it before, when I've said like words that we use over here, and they'll say, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. Well, recently we've had a lot of American people coming on our show, which is amazing. We've got someone coming out. Our podcast is out tomorrow, our episode 8 of season 2, and that is from someone from India this time. So it's nice to know that there's a lot of gamers around the world that wants to come onto the show. It's amazing. I really think it is.
Until they ask you to wake up halfway through the night to have a chat with them.
Yes, that's the downfall with one of them that's asked me to go on his show. He said, oh, Douglas, he said, I would like to have you on our show as a return. He said, but we'll have to try and do it your time again, because I don't think you fancy waking up about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, do you? Your time. So,
I mean, was it a couple of weeks ago? I recorded one of the other shows that I did where I'm a co-host. I did one of those, and I think we finished at about 3:30 in the morning on there. Yeah. And then I had an episode of the one that's coming out this weekend, that was booked for 7 o'clock in the morning, 3.5 hours after I'd finished that. So I went to bed, had about 2.5 hours sleep, and then woke up to chat with them for this show.
Wow. I mean, I'm terrible for going to bed early. I can't go to bed early for some reason. I just stay up. My man's like, you know yourself, you go on your phone and you go, oh, that looks interesting. 2 hours later, your time's gone. It's like when you're playing games as well. You get that much into a game that, especially Spider-Man, if you're playing Spider-Man, you can play that all night if you wanted to, couldn't you?
Yeah, I used to get bored playing Snake.
Oh, Snake, yes. God. On the phones, yeah. Nokia. The Nokia.
Yeah, the Nokias, yes, the old game.
Yeah, Craigie. It used to be a really good game, though. It was addictive. It was like, yeah, I've got to complete that. But now, if you look back at Snake and you go back to that and you think, I don't think I'll have the time to do that. I wouldn't think of doing it. But no, it's incredible. Like Pac-Man. Yeah. Pac-Man, it's still going now. And they've recently made one, I think, was it a year ago, last year maybe? And it looks incredible, the way they've done it.
Well, I was going to say that earlier, and I never did, which was, there's certain properties where you know, you're surprised that they haven't gone back to them. Like, what am I thinking of? I mean, I don't know if any of these work or not. Well, Space Invaders, you don't really have. Do you have modern versions of Space Invaders? You don't have like Space Invaders. I think they did
No.
a second one, but I don't think they went
Yeah.
after that.
I think on the Switch they have a game that's similar to Space Invaders, but it's not Space Invaders because obviously it's not named like that. But it reminds me so much like it. I'm trying to think what it's called. Is it Gravity or something? Is it Puzzly? I can't remember now.
Maybe.
One of the games anyway, because I got that for free because I've come across a website called Key Miller.
Okay.
I don't know whether you've heard of it.
No, I've not heard of that. No.
So basically, it's a website where it has like promotions on or games that you just want to request for, and it asks you, would you like to do 100% content on it? You don't have to, but I always recommend to people to put 100% on, so it guarantees you that you might get the game. But basically what it does is you put a request in. It's not Key Miller that accepts them. That once you request, that request goes to them developers of the game. And if the game accepts them request, then you get that game for totally free. All the assets, content.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic.
And I got quite a few games on there. I got Bus Simulator 21 for free off there, which I thought that I wasn't expecting to get accepted for that. There's a few little India games I've been requested for and all that, but some of the Indian games are fantastic, aren't they? You know. So yeah, Key Miller is a good website if you're a gamer and you want to request, especially if you do a lot of content or streaming. That is good. The other game I just recently got accepted for. Have you heard of Suicide Guy?
No, I don't think so.
Well, this is Suicide Guy 2. I know the name's a bit weird, right? But it looks like an interesting game. It really does, and it's a game that I didn't think I would get accepted for. So yeah, if you're a big streamer or you do content creating on YouTube, Key Miller is a good website to go on.
So, what advice would you give to people if they wanted to start their own podcast?
I think don't start the way I did. I mean, it's good talking. If you got a co-host with you, that's brilliant. But if you want to extend it and make it more enjoyable, so you're not speaking all the time on your behalf, and you want to ask people questions, I think it makes it easier when you're asking questions. Not like I don't like to speak on that, but it's nice to hear back off someone. So you say you ask a question, you're getting a response where if you got a co-host with you, you're mostly speaking about the same thing. You're not actually asking questions to each other. You're just speaking about things. It's good. It's great to talk about that. And time to time we do that. But I think having a guest on your show is so much better, and it does make it more entertaining as well. I do think that's so. My tip really is just start it and don't stop it, because I stopped it for a while. I don't know why. I don't know the reasons, but I stopped it, and it come back to me in mind one day again, and I said I've got to do it again, and I haven't stopped it since. So yeah, just if you're going to start it, start it with good equipment. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I started it on the phone, so
yep.
It wasn't really ideal equipment, but I was testing it out at the time. But if you've got the equipment there, then perfect. If you haven't and you got a bit of money saved up and you want to do the podcast, then go and get all the headset, the mic, whatever you need. And I think just enjoy it, really. I mean, that's the thing. And, you know, like you say, sometimes you're nervous on your first go, but but I carried on going. And I'm loving it. I just have to say, the minute you start a podcast, don't stop it because you regret stopping it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest tip. Just when you start it, carry on.
And the equipment doesn't have to be expensive either, by the way.
No, it doesn't.
People, you know, you can buy microphones that just plug into your USB port for about £30 in English money or thereabouts off you know, the Amazon people, if you want to do that. And then just plug it in, and they come with a stand that you just stand on the table, plug a set of headphones into your computer.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Definitely. I mean, Peter Crouch, for instance, they talk in a pub sometimes. And all they have is a standard karaoke mic. So, I mean, and you can see the wires as well. They're not wireless. So, you know, that's all they use sometimes is a standard karaoke mic. And it seems to work for them. So, you know, like you say, you don't need expensive equipment. If you have the money and you want to spend a little bit more, then go for it. But if you haven't and you just want an easy option to start your podcast off, get, you know, like you say, cheaper equipment.
So what shows do you like to listen to yourself?
Yeah, well, I like to listen to The Diary of a CEO. I think that's quite interesting. I love to listen to gaming podcasts. I love to listen to also people that talk about movies and stuff like that, you know, new releases. Football, as I've recently mentioned with Peter Crouch, I think the football podcasts are brilliant, and there's so many football podcasts out there. Yeah, just stuff like that, really, yeah.
Anyway, thank you for speaking with me today, James.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you, Martin, for having me on your show.
And it's okay you listening to a show with Peter Crouch because, you know, Paul McCartney was from the Everton side and he's an Everton fan, but he still chats with people who play for Liverpool.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not one of them blues that dislikes Liverpool because I don't. I like football in general. So if Liverpool are playing, I like to hope that they do well. Obviously, when they come against us, that's different because you want to support your own team. But when they're playing and they're in the Champions League, for instance, the 2005 Champions League final, me and my dad were like Liverpool supporters for that night, and I'm not scared to say that because we literally watching it on TV. It was such a fantastic final. 3-0 down, we're thinking, oh God, what's wrong with Liverpool? And then all of a sudden they come out and they do that fantastic comeback and we were off our seats and Evertonians. So, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, you know, if you love your football, then, you know, I mean, I loved Alex Ferguson. He did a great job for Man United. Man City, fantastic team. Holland, what a fantastic player. And just, you know, I love football in general. Yeah. I play football as well myself. Only like 7-a-side, 5-a-side, because our team is a disability team. So we play when we can. So our season never ends. We just like get matches and tournaments going all across the world, and if we can. And yeah, I do enjoy playing. Probably more at the moment to watching football if you're an Everton supporter. But we recently won a game, so I'm happy and chuffed.
He's happy.
Yeah, chuffed, happy. I said it again. Yeah.
Where can people find you and get hold of you, mate?
Right. I have a podcast Twitter page, which is called TW Pod at TW Pod 1. You can find that on Twitter. TeamWorks Podcast is my Instagram one. And same with the Facebook one as well. You can join them, but if you want to contact me through my gaming socials, it's Crazy Ninja War. The reason for that is you're probably thinking, what's the war for? It was meant to be Warrior.
Okay.
Crazy Ninja Warrior, but someone took that name. So I was thinking to myself, what's the nearest to Warrior I can put? So I put War. And you know yourself, sometimes when you're in a game, you're at war, aren't you? Basically. Yep. So, and the craziness came from, being crazy. I'm always crazy on my streams, and Ninja is a very popular name as well. I mean, I'm like a ninja when I get moving on the streams, but Ninja is a popular name as well. So I thought put Ninja in it as well. So you can contact me through that, or if you prefer to contact me through personal, it's just JF Hughes. JF Hughes 7 on Twitter, or you can contact me through Messenger, which is James Hughes, and Instagram is James Frank Hughes, because my middle name is Frank. So, but if you want to get on to the podcast, come through all our podcast socials, you can contact me through there. But also, if you prefer if you don't have Twitter, we do have an email, which is teamworkspodcast@outlook.com.
Okay. Thank you very much for this.
Honestly, thank you, Martin. I do appreciate you inviting me to the show. I've really enjoyed it, mate. And you know what? We'll have to get you on our show at some point as well.
Well, at least we can do it at a more civilized time, considering we're both in England.
Yeah. I think I've most of my guests they've been somewhere else, so I've tried to fit it around their time zones as well. Some time zones have been ideal, but the last one we had to do it like 7:45 our time, because India, I think they're like 5 hours ahead of something like that. So he was like, I can't keep putting it off because of the time. He said, we're always going to have the same situation. So he said, let's just go with it. And yeah, it's nice to get people from other places, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yes. I had the same with Kunal, who was a guest that I had. He does podcasts with Kunal. That's his show.
Yeah.
And he's from India. And that's about gaming as well, by the way.
Yeah, it just shows you. I mean, I've heard people saying gaming's just gaming. But I'm like, you can't say that, because gaming, you might think, oh, you can only talk about one thing, but there's so many things to talk about gaming. Like when we bring guests on our shows, we hear all different backgrounds, why they became a gamer. So, it might mean that, the brother got them into gaming, or gaming's been part of their life since the 80s or 90s or 70s even, and it's great to hear all the different backgrounds. So yeah, gaming is not gaming. There's so much to talk about.
That's true. Anyway, you can find Pods Like Us just look for Pods Like Us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. And you can contact us through podslikeus@gmail.com. Anyway, thank you everyone for listening, and hope you listen again to another episode of Pods Like Us.